You know what actually sucks for people who have been working on shows for quite some time? Comparisons. Comparisons are probably the most inadequate way to describe a thing. It's the lazy man's way out of illustrating what they're trying to describe to you. It is the shorthand of anything, but it isn't directly supposed to be an accurate articulation of what's going on here. Take, for instance, this person's review of Cannon Buster. They compare it to Cowboy Bebop.
And to start off, I gotta tell you what Cannon Busters is about. So let's get into what Cannon Busters is about. All right, so to perfectly describe the vibe of Cannon Busters, it's kind of like Bass Dandy, Cowboy Bebop, and Trigun getting together, having some crazy threesome, and making a beautiful baby, and then LaShawn Thomas just sprinkled some black love on there, just like.
But this show has a Megazord ball-like creation within it, as well as Cowboy Bebop is more of like a slick styled sort of individual, while the main character here is a bit of ineptitude in his way of handling himself, and only due to his magnificent powers to keep himself alive do you have the ability to even survive the numerous amount of circumstances he finds himself in. This is why comparisons are very, 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 very inferior to actually putting forth the effort to describe the thing you're describing here. As well, the problem with comparisons is that often enough, the things you do like about the thing you're comparing it to might come up short, since you're not desiring or seeking out to evaluate the thing as it is. Rather, you're comparing it to an entirely different work that might have a different meaning and message and purpose overall in what it is creating. That's why I'm going to be talking about early episodes of SpongeBob right here, rather than just comparing it to the newer season, since again, these two seasons are two shows. It might be confusing to hear that, but think about it for a minute. Look at the execution of animation. Look at the execution of how the stories are written. These are entirely two different shows in terms of how the comedy is written and how it is executed. I can't just simply say that I prefer at least one show over the other, but it is important to emphasize that the execution and direction here is entirely different, and it seems incredibly unfair to do so if I'm going to be speaking about newer seasons of SpongeBob. By the way, if you want to see another episode of this particular series, let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, it's probably best for us to finally get into, well, SpongeBob and some of the earlier seasons. Ah yes, SpongeBob, our ne'er-do-well, our creepypasta nuclear infused creature of sentience that starts to absorb all of our childhoods in a nightmarish fashion, or has adorned us depending on the way you were exposed to him. SpongeBob is a literal landmark in terms of cartoon. Not only is he one of the most unique and original styles of cartoon characters that one comes to mind, it's similar to Spider-Man when we talk about superheroes. He's such a character that's so unique in the way he is describable that immediately when you start to draw him, people immediately know who you're referring to. So what exactly do I want to talk about? I mean, you read the title, so I presumably understand that you know what we're talking about here. We're talking about one of the best episodes, in my personal opinion, when it comes to SpongeBob. The episode I would recommend to anybody when we talk about SpongeBob, and that would be Wet Painters. This episode in particular starts off with SpongeBob and Patrick being divulged a secret. Yes, unfortunately, Mr. Krabs isn't a Jeffrey Dahmer of sorts, a blonde, hunking love boat that people can write Tumblr fanfictions about. Rather, he is just here to have them paint his house. Doing so for the purposes of, well, free labor, the true communistic, idealistic dialogue that the manifestos that Mr. Krabs has been reading all this time truly have come to benefit him, as he convinces SpongeBob and Patrick that they want to do this somehow.
The two of you are to paint the inside of me house!
However, this isn't any particular paint. This paint has a nuance, a uniqueness to it that makes it an anomaly amongst the universe. This is permanent paint.
Let me give you two a warning. If I see even one drop on anything but wool, I'll have your rear ends cut off and mounted over me fireplace.
It is going to go on your permanent record. Wait a minute, that's an entirely different episode. Anyway, what I'm trying to get across here is that if you get it anywhere other than what it needs to be, then he will take their bottoms and nail them to the fireplace. Every time I see this image now, I think of that one thing where Ninja calls Keemstar bald anyway. Shenanigans naturally ensue from the two trying their best to not get paint anywhere.
In these cans of permanent paint now.
Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob!
Patrick, the lid's already off.
But it's the dialogue and it's the energetic nature and the small little alterations to their faces as they react to things that are going on. There's a bit of restraint in these episodes and how they convey things, which makes the moments where they are hyper expressive very, very fun and enjoyable. After realizing the house has been flawlessly painted except for one microscopic dot, SpongeBob attempts to alleviate this issue by trying to wipe it away.
Just $1! It's Mr. Krabs' first dollar, his most prized possession, and we got paint on it! Okay, this isn't a problem. Maybe I can just wipe it off. This is not good, Patrick. This is not good.
And realizing that there's no way to do so, the consequences of the booty warrior are imminent. But wait, everything comes off with something, which leads to one of my favorite subversions after a myriad of options are exhausted.
SpongeBob, we're not cavemen! We have technology!
It didn't work.
This eureka moment is stifled after, well, there's a gigantic candy machine that just erects itself out of nowhere. I like to believe that this candy machine wasn't there the entire time. I like to believe that it just manifested into existence just to thwart SpongeBob and make his life torturous. That's what I like to think. I like to think that the universe doesn't want to see you win, SpongeBob. I like to think that it likes to see you in infinite Schadenfreude. Anyway, then we find out that Mr. Krabs is home, and there's a protruding place where his pen used to be.
Hi, Mr. Krabs.
SpongeBob, what are you doing?
Oh, you know, just hanging around.
Boo!
How can you not enjoy this episode? It's just an abundance of jokes like these. The paint comes off with saliva, they exit the place, and Mr. Krabs says he needs to say not sprayed. Again, when I expressed this episode to you, I did it in a very expedient fashion because I just wanted to get across the notion that I genuinely do enjoy this episode just due to how it's back-to-back just great jokes. It doesn't ever feel like it's stopping or slowing down in any conceivable fashion just to get these jokes across. The entire episode is based around just making sure that there's something to laugh at, and if there's one joke you don't find funny in its execution, it just moves on. It never belabors or lingers on the comedy for sorts. And some people might say that execution in shows like Family Guy, where they linger on a joke, the joke becomes funny the longer it lasts, but I would disagree to some capacity. Again, this is a more shorter video, but hopefully you enjoyed. Idris Axel, just for those who are new here, and a really vintage of my name. Until next time, peace.